Hey, good day, everybody. Hey, listen, 10 success principles we often forget. It's really fantastic stuff here. Sometimes we find ourselves running in place, struggling to get ahead simply because we forget to address some of the basic principles that govern our potential progress. So here's a quick reminder. Number one, you're the only person responsible for your success. I don't know if you've heard that before, but it's really true. You're the only one. There is no other person that can determine whether you become successful, whether you do the right things, whether you prepare to the extent you need to. Nobody else can make that decision but you. So the best part of your life will start on the day you decide your life is your own. No one to lean on, rely on, or blame. You're in fully control of your future. Believe with all your heart that you will do what you were made to do. It may be tough at times. Not it may be. It will be tough at times. But refuse to follow some preordained path. Make your own rules and have your own game plan. There is no happiness and success to be found by playing it safe and settling for a life that's less than the one you are capable of living. You know, in the end, when we look back on our lives, one of the things they've done lots of studies with people that are in the winning years of their life, and they ask them, if you could do something different, when they're like in their 80 years old or older, if you could have done something different in life, what would you have done? And almost everybody says to a person, they wish they would have taken more risks. They wish they would have put themselves out there more. They wish they would have tried and tried more things and worked harder on being successful and making a mark in their life. That's the most common responses for elderly people as they're looking back on their lives. And, one thing we don't want, you don't want, I know I don't want, is to live a life of regret, to look back on my life and say, man, I should have done this, I should have done that, because I was afraid of what people thought, afraid of, how I might be perceived, and I didn't do what I really wanted to do. Don't let that be you. Number two, you don't have to invent the wheel or reinvent the wheel. Actually, to be successful, you don't have to invent anything at all. Coming up with a new invention or idea is one way to achieve massive success, but it isn't necessary, and it can be the most challenging roads to success there is. You see many people who have found lots of success just by taking something that already existed and simply putting their own twist on it, their unique selling propositions. Think about Apple, for instance. As Steve Jobs once said, good artists copy, great artists steal. Creativity is connecting things. Connecting things means seeking inspiration from great ideas that already exist, adding to your own useful twist. In the business that I'm in, there's already a path laid out. There's a way to be successful. It's very simple. It's a very simple process. And yet what I see people over and over doing is trying to reinvent the wheel and recreate it. And it's just, it's really sad. You don't need to do that. There's already a path to take. You just need to do the work. You need to study it and then do it. Number three, there's no progress without action. Boy, is that the truth. Very, very few people realize how critically important action is. Just doing something, making a call, following up, prospecting, doing something. What's not started today is never finished tomorrow. Some of the greatest ideas never made it. Why? Because the genius behind the idea failed to take action. Just remember, no action always results in 100% failure rate. It's kind of like asking. I was talking this last weekend in Florida, and one of the things I talked about, and I heard this a long time ago, and thank God I realized this, if you don't ask, the answer is 100% no. So asking is taking action. You need to learn how to ask. So get into action now and begin to move in the right direction. Once you get started, every step afterwards gets easier and easier, and it does, until eventually what had once been invisible starts to become visible, and what once felt unattainable starts to become a reality. I look back on my life when I was working like a crazy person trying to get my business off the ground. First it took me about 3 years. I was just working. I was having a little bit of success, but it wasn't really happening. All of a sudden, in the fourth year, in the third year, I started to have decent success, but in the fourth year, it really took off. And you don't quite see it. You just need to be working really, really hard. You need to be putting forth that effort, and you need it consistently. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is they're so inconsistent in their effort, and when you're inconsistent with your effort, starting and stopping, there's no way to create momentum. You've got to stay consistent for an extended period of time. And then things start happening. Then you'll look back and you can't even really say, when did it really start taking off? And it's hard to even see. I can't even remember exactly, but obviously I know it did. Things started happening. We started developing people. Our numbers started growing. Income started going up. And it didn't happen overnight, but it was because of that, massive action for an extended period of time is what created everything I have today. Was like basically from 1984 to about 1992, which is about 8 years, 8 straight years, I just took massive action, focused like a laser, kind of stopped everything in my life except what I was trying to do in building my business. Kind of just everything I like to do, I let that go for the time. And then all of a sudden I look back after that period of time from 1984 to 1992, I look back and I went, wow, we had built something substantial. We built the foundation for a great business, and everything just started happening from there, and it actually got really, really easy from that point on, and it remains really, really easy. So take action, massive action. Most people never take anywhere near the amount of action they need to take. Don't be that person. Number 4, persistence always wins. As Winston Churchill once said, success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. It may take more than one swing to compose an efficient hit, so make sure not to give up on strike one. And remember, a river cuts through rocks not because of its power at a given moment, but because of its persistence over time. Persistence. Number 5, focus is everything. When you're too busy looking behind and around you, people are passing you. If you never focus clearly on something, you will never be 100% efficient at anything. Multitasking might seem to make you efficient at getting multiple tasks done at once, but it usually reduces your efficiency in dealing with each individual task. And this is a real key. If you never focus clearly on something, you will never be 100% efficient. And one of the things I see people, they're getting distracted all the time. I use this analogy a lot. Imagine you're driving from L.A. to New York, across the country, and you have a path to take. You've gone to the auto club and you get the route that you're going to take, but you get off at every exit on the way. If you're getting off at every exit, which, by the way, the exit is distraction, right? There's all kinds of distraction, personal issues, children issues, I don't know, like some kids, cats get distracted with, flies flying around. I mean, everybody's getting distracted, but every time you get distracted, you get off the freeway, so to speak, off the freeway of the path to success, if you will. So every distraction, I have a saying, distraction leads to our economic destruction because it prevents us from building momentum and being consistent and getting the kind of results we need to create something significant. So make sure you stay focused on what you're doing. Don't let anybody or anything distract you from what you're trying to do. You control that 100%. Focus is everything. Number 6, failure is necessary. Don't wake up at 75 years of age sighing over what you should have tried, kind of like what I said a little earlier, but didn't because you were afraid to fail, or you were, more importantly, afraid of what people might think of you. Just do it and be willing to fail and learn along the way. Very few people get it right the first time. In fact, most people fail to get it right the first 5 times. If what you did today didn't turn out as you hoped, tomorrow's a new opportunity to do it differently. Interpret each failure as a lesson on the road to success. And in this talk I did last weekend, I talked to them. I tried like 4 different things before I found the business I'm in currently. I did Herbalife, I did Amway, I did this thing called MeadowFresh. I opened a fine chocolate store in Westwood in Los Angeles. And every one of those things, I made a little money in some of them, but nothing led to really success until I found the current business I'm in. And when I got into this business, all the work I'd done, all the failure, all the things I'd learned along the way in the failures that I made, I fixed, you know. And then all of a sudden, in this business, things really started to take off, you know. My first year, I made $18,000 at it. Then the second year, $35,000. I'm sorry. Then the third year, I made $86,000. Then all of a sudden, everything came together. I made $409,000 in my fourth year, $855,000 in my fifth year, and then man, my life just took off from that point forward. But it didn't happen overnight, and I had multiple failures along the way. But you know what? What really successful people don't do is quit. They keep focused on their dream, on what they're trying to accomplish with their life and where they want to end up until they make it, and that needs to be you. Failure is part of the process, folks. Don't be afraid of it. Don't run from it. Learn from it. Number 7, positivity fuels productivity. Thoughts are like the steering wheel that moves your life in the right direction. Success comes from positive energy. You can choose to get caught up in the negativity surrounding you, or you can decide to do something positive about your situation. You always have a choice. Always, always, always. Remember, happiness is an element of success, and the happiest people don't necessarily have the best of everything. They use positive energy to make the best of what they have. And that's what you need to do, you know. One of the things is, and I don't mean being Pollyanna when you're positive. I mean that you look at, even when you have a challenge, you look at what can I learn from that, what's the takeaway from this, and how can I turn that into something that can propel me forward, that can teach me a lesson so that I don't repeat that, and I make adjustments to become successful. Positivity isn't Pollyanna, folks. It's just looking at how you can take whatever's happened, even if it seems to be detrimental in the first place, and turn it into something great for you. A learning experience to move you on to the next, you know, challenge, and improve your skill sets and improve your knowledge and know what you shouldn't do so that you can start working on what you should do. Number 8, you must believe you can. You must find the place inside yourself where anything is possible. It starts with a dream. Add confidence and it becomes a belief. Add commitment and it becomes a goal in sight. Add action and it becomes a part of your life. Add determination and time and your dream becomes a reality. You know, one of the things about believing that you can has, to me, in my experience, so much to do with what your skill sets are and what your knowledge is up to that point. The greater your skill sets are, the greater your knowledge base is, you're going to start feeling more confident, all right? As you become more competent, you become more confident. As you become more confident, you start taking more action because you feel like if you take the action, you're going to get the kind of result that you want. And then that becomes part of your life, and then you stay consistent with it over time, and then, of course, your dream, whatever that dream might be, becomes part of your physical reality. Number 9, helping others is a big part of being successful. Successful people constantly come up with new ideas, new projects, and new and innovative ways of helping others. This means that your aims and objectives just benefit you, but also help benefit others as well. Bottom line, your long-term success is directly tied to how well you serve your community, how well you serve your clients, how well you serve your prospects, how well you serve the people that you work with. You know, helping others there's a saying that I learned well over 30-some years ago, probably in 1979, that if you help enough people get what they want, you will automatically get what you want. And I found that to be 100% true. Everything about my career in business has been about helping people become more than they are, helping them develop skills, you know, relaying knowledge to them that would help them with their business, you know, helping them with their thought process so they could start thinking like a winner. So everything. I have you can follow me on Twitter at Hector Marque, and everything I do on that Twitter feed. And I do a lot of tweets, so you know, you may or may not like that, but I'm always finding really helpful things, and I'm posting them. But follow me, because everything about my Twitter feed, like I said, is about helping people become more successful. That's the whole point of my Twitter feed. I don't do politics. I don't do religion. I don't do anything, no social stuff. Strictly, everything is geared towards helping you think like winners think, to think like successful people think, to think like multimillionaires think. You start thinking like those kinds of people, you're going to become one of those people, because everything in your life is created starting with whatever you're thinking about. So if you don't get that part right, it's going to be almost impossible for you to be as successful as you want to be. But helping people is the key. And I found also that in helping other people, it comes back tenfold. And it's really true. I know it seems like a cliche, but it's absolutely, I can't even relate to you how many times I've helped people with no thought of getting remuneration, right? But somehow at some point later down the road or whatever, something great happened to me, and it helped me become more successful and accomplish my goals, and it will for you too. It just doesn't happen overnight. It does take time. Stay with it. Keep helping people. Number 10, success is a journey of countless baby steps. It's a constant process of growth. If you want to be successful, you must continue to hold yourself to a higher standard than anyone else. That's what you've got to do. You've got to hold yourself to a higher standard than anyone else. You've got to improve. You know, oftentimes a person or organization will be successful, but then drop off. I see people in my business all the time. They start to have success. This is one of the most common themes I see. They start having success. They start from nothing. They don't know how to do anything. They struggle in the beginning. They learn our fundamentals of our business, and then they start having some success. And then sometimes they'll start making really considerable incomes, and then inevitably they stop doing what they were doing to create that success, and then it drops off, it levels off, and sometimes most people never get it going again because they can't get themselves to start working again and focus like they did originally. And I see this, I work with some professional PGA professionals, do a little bit of help with the thinking part of their game. And you can see it there too. You can see professional athletes who often have a lot of success, and then this Johnny Manziel, for example, that's in the news all the time. Incredible potential, but he can't control himself off the field. And he obviously did tons of work to get to where he was, to get drafted. They just cut him, by the way, because he got distracted and he stopped doing, I'm sure, what he was doing to create, the success he had. And you see that happening over and over again. So what you've got to do is you've got to have a very specific goal of where you want to be. In my opinion, okay, I think the big goal, the real prize that very few people ever achieve because they can't stay focused, they let up too soon, is becoming debt-free, having no debt, no house payments, no car payments, no credit card payments, no payments, all paid off, everything paid off, and having enough money saved that you could live off the income that the money generates, right? Whatever it's invested or however you have it, maybe you own real estate, doesn't really matter what it is, but you have enough invested that the income it puts off allows you to live well. That's the real goal. Freedom's the real goal. Things are great. Don't get me wrong. I like nice things. I like to travel first class. I like to, drive a nice car, and I like to eat in great restaurants. I like nice things. Everybody does, but they pale in comparison to being free. I mean, really free, where you don't have to be anywhere or do anything or listen to anybody or answer to somebody that's over you. Just free. Freedom is so. People don't realize how amazing it is to be free. My goal for you is for you to get successfully debt-free and financially independent so you can do what it is you want to do with whom you want to do it in the style you want to do it whenever you want to do it, and not be at the whim of some master. A person may become lazy and an organization may succumb to weakness or competition. Sustained success means continually improving even if others may not see a need for it. Remember, the great thing in the world is not so much where we stand at any given time as in what direction we're moving. One of the things I think you need to do, everybody needs to do if you're a leader especially, is you have to create a gap, a value gap, a gap between those people that are following you, your clients, and if you have people in your organization. You need to have a gap, a big gap, a skill gap, and a knowledge gap, so that there is a reason. There's a compulsion, right, for people to want to follow you, to want to be in your presence, to want to come to your meetings, to want to stay in business with you, if you will, right? So if there's a gap that you're providing knowledge and expertise and skill sets that they don't have yet, that they need to learn to be more successful, but you can offer them because you're working on yourself constantly. The other thing why I think working on yourself is so important, why I do it, is it makes me feel better about myself. It makes me feel like I deserve to succeed. I deserve to earn big money. I don't feel guilty about making big money. I feel fine. And one of the reasons I feel good is because I have done the work and I continue improving. I continue to do that. It's part of the way I operate. I've operated. It's just ingrained in me now. I can't stop doing it. I need to read a couple, 2 or 3, 4 books a month. I'm reading stuff all the time. I'm listening to the right people. I'm associating with the right people. I'm always working, and I think all successful people are always working on how they can get an edge, how they can improve little by little. It doesn't have to be some gigantic step, but that incremental improvement that you create over time, that you do over time, it manifests in so many incredible ways. And I hope, my wish is for you to really realize that, have a very, very clear and focused plan on how you can get better, so that clients and your staff, your people, whatever, want to keep following you and want to be in business with you.